And then it turned out the real villain was David Bowie the entire time.
Now we can record. Okay. Welcome to Brotherhood, a spoiler-filled podcast where we review each episode of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. My name is Dylan MacArthur, the older brother.
And my name is Timothy MacArthur, the taller brother. Today's episode, Death of the Undying.
Apparently, Roy Mustang has a Bela Lugosi tribute cover band. I mean, did you see him posing for that poster? Look at those abs. I felt for a moment the voice of David Bowie echoing through his body. Ah, my stomach. Got any notes for me this time?
Yep.
Hit me with them.
Well, I was thinking we could go over the summary and I could say the notes as we go along.
Okay, fine. So this is the episode where, following up after the last one, where we ended with Barry wanting to chase down his body and Riza being cornered by Gluttony. Gluttony tries to have his way with Riza, which in Gluttony's case, I guess, means just swallowing her whole. And then the cavalry arrives, which includes the most adorable dog.
Yes, let's agree that dog was adorable.
I love that she calls that dog Sergeant, and when she salutes, like, the dog does the equivalent of a salute back.
I didn't notice the dog did that.
Like, it doesn't move its paw, but it, like, stands at attention and it barks.
Yeah, you're right. That is kind of funny. But going on with that, yes, leave one of the officers who saved Riza near the Gluttony crash site with only an empty with a question mark, that is, pistol, and a dog to protect him. Good call, Stang and Riza. Good call.
Stang and Riza?
I don't know, some people call the car Mustang a Stang, apparently, according to a book I read.
I think that it works in this instance because it just sort of gives us a narrative reason to no longer really worry about Gluttony anymore. Because it's clear that everything interesting from here on out is going to be revolving around the chase towards Barry's body. Gluttony doesn't really factor into that.
And then Barry storms the third laboratory. How many laboratories do they have?
27 in alphabetical order.
I would not be surprised.
What I love is that they've got a functioning third laboratory. Like, dang, that thing must be old.
Yeah.
Or frequently renovated. I love right before they storm that shot of the gate as each of the people who are about to storm it successively peek their heads over each other to see what's going on. And it finally ends with Alphonse. And you just got to think, dang, that's got to be the worst dog pile to be at the bottom of.
Yeah, indeed. Must be terrible. You've got like two people who are basically entire suits of armor who are on top of the dog pile.
But there's a nice cleanliness to the fact that Barry the Chopper decides that he's going to storm through this laboratory and Mustang on his feet decides, you know what, hey, I can use this to my advantage. I can go after the crazy criminal and save all of these poor scientists.
Wink.
It's a nice little bow that gets tied for us to be like, oh, isn't this going to be neat and tidy? So that we can be like, oh, stuff's about to get real when the Fuhrer shows up.
And then Lust also shows up.
Yeah.
And then Jean Havoc makes an interesting exclamation, which I will not say, beyond just saying that it was awkward.
He has a fascination with the female anatomy that is kind of
awkward.
Well, I don't know, it's like, well, like, I don't know what Mustang was expecting Havoc to say in that instance. Be like, nah, bro, Solaris was just my beard. The real love of my life is you, Roy Mustang. I mean, David Bowie, wink. Like, no. Like, I don't know. I think that moment just exists for a bit of light comedy so that we can be like, ha, 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 before things get real.
Okay. And then, something happens. Lust douses them in water from an overhanging pipe.
Well, before we get to that, I think it's important to point out that this is the first time that we learn that a homunculus is basically a philosopher's stone.
Except a living one. Like
right.
An actual, a being made out of a philosopher's stone or whatever.
And Lus has the kindness in her heart to tell the people she is sure are going to die all sorts of details that they shouldn't possibly need to know, but they're useful to us as an audience and that we're dying to know. no.
And then Lust, of course, explodes even after she douses them with water, because Mustang's like, I can just transmute the water into
hydrogen and oxygen and then use those to
explode the place.
One of the things that I think that this episode does really well is fake out what the death of the episode is going to be. Because we know what the title is, Death of the Undying. Who is the Undying? We think at the episode that it might be Riza, because she was the last person that we saw in danger. She's like this kick-butt girl who can't possibly be stopped. Will she be stopped in this episode? Turns out, no. Then we have this nice little fake out where Lust is burned to a crisp by Roy, and we think, oh, she's gone. We even have the dramatic shot as she starts to fade into the dust that rises up into the sky, and you think, ooh, that's an interesting animation. It's interesting that he was able to do that. How clever of him.
And then when Lust gets back, you have another fake out where Roy rips out the Philosopher's Stone from Lust, and then is about to use it to heal Havoc, but then Lust is like, nah, I am the Philosopher's Stone. You ain't gonna do that.
Nice bit of body horror there. There seems to be a lot of that in this show. We get another fake out later when Lust confronts Riza, and then my favorite fake out of the whole episode happens to be when Riza decides that she's going to take down Lust with just her bullets as best as she can, because now we know where the Philosopher's Stone is, and she seems to be hitting every which way around it. We even have a close-up shot of the Ouroboros tattoo as she's trying to hit Lust repeatedly with her gun and continually just barely missing.
And in regards to that, I have to say about Riza, she mad.
She mad. Then she sad. Then she glad.
But we'll get to why later. Right about now, in fact. You see, Lust is like, hey, I'm still alive. Now I'm gonna kill y'all. And then Alphonse, who is apparently there, is like, nope. But then...
Well, hold on. Before we get to that, I want to go back to Alphonse and his moment of, this is my purpose in life, is to help people and stop people from receiving any more harm from me. There have been too many of these monologues of the Elric brothers trying to figure out what their purpose is. Just pick a course and stick to it. I'll go wherever you go, Elric brothers, because you're great characters. Just go somewhere.
You could go to Candyland for all I care. Knowing this show, it would still be demented.
After the amazing shot of Barry the Chopper going to chop up Lust and being divided asunder in basically one sweeping camera shot.
Yeah, that was a really good shot of those stretchy claws and Barry being chopped to pieces.
But I feel like it would have been even more emotionally powerful if we would have just had that one shot without the insert, where we see her claws appearing and that little from him leaping to him landing behind Lust in 100 different pieces as one continuous camera movement without any.
I think either way works, really, for me.
I mean, they both work, but I think that it would have. The reason I think that they should have done that is because it would have shifted the emotion of that scene from a visceral, ouch, that's gotta hurt, to, oh no, my favorite character.
Yeah, it would have.
Which you get a little bit of both, but I would have liked more.
Let's talk about Lust being blown up several times again, shall we? You see, here's what happens. Roy Mustang shows up, say, sup guys, I'm here. Lust is like, what? Turns around, and then of course realizes too late that Alphonse has erected a barrier to protect him and Riza, and then begins blowing up because flame alchemy and a lighter.
This is the point where I came to fear Colonel Mustang in a good way. You learn that this guy is ruthless, which is something that they tried to give us with a couple episodes back in Cold Flame, but this time you get that he's ruthless and that he will defend the people below him
with that ruthless
to incredibly scary lengths. In this episode, we have a little bit of lightning effect going on in terms of alchemy, as well as a lot of fire.
Yeah, well,
in multiple scenes. two of the more difficult things to animate, I happen to know.
Okay.
And I think that they happen to do a fairly decent job with the fire. This being an anime, there are a lot of shortcuts, obviously, that are taken with it. It's not particularly detailed, especially in the motion. You'll notice that the fire in this show tends to largely be defined in terms of an overall blast outline instead of individual tongues of flame.
Speaking of explosions and all that, seeing Mustang explode a homunculus several times is both one of the more epic things I've seen and kind of disturbing.
What really sells it is the motion of lust within the flame.
Oh, yeah.
That's nightmare fuel, children.
It is.
Drink that up and never go to sleep again.
I probably will be able to go to sleep.
One of the most interesting twists of the episode comes right after the burning of lust, when we see Wrath slinking away, having done absolutely nothing to interfere.
My guess is because he knew that Lust was ultimately trying to interfere with the plan by trying to kill potential sacrifices, and so maybe he was, in a way, allowing Lust to die because of that. That's my theory.
Shall we consult Dylan from the past?
Sure thing.
Hi, it's Dylan from the past here. I'm about to offer you what I think was motivating Wrath when he chose not to intervene on Lust's behalf. I think that he wants some for himself. I think that secretly, deep down, he knows that what he's taking part in is wrong, and he's going to stick to it to the end. He's going to do whatever terrible things he has to in order to get to whatever the big transmutation event is that is going to be at the end of the show. But then he's going to come out and he's be like, no, Father, I'm gonna get you because you are threatening people that I like, and that's what's gonna happen. And that, I think, is what was motivating him, is wanting to get other people out of the way. Dylan from the past doesn't know a whole lot about what's about to happen.
No, he does not. Anyway. No more comments than that. Anyway.
There's nothing else that you want to say about this episode? What about Hohenheim?
I liked the ending with Hohenheim and all that.
Do you want to know what Dylan from the past has to say about Hohenheim at the end?
Sure.
Oh my gosh, it's Father! Father has taken his Hohenheim form and is about to trick Edward into doing something. Whoa, what's going to happen in the next episode? It's going to be interesting. Also, the name of the next episode is Father Before the Grave. Interesting how that ties into what Dylan from the past theory is about Hohenheim and why he's suddenly appearing. I wonder what shall be made of that in the future. Final judgments on the episode?
It was good. It was really good. I liked it.
Maybe one of the most memorable death scenes I've seen on TV.
I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, though.
It's a good thing, because it means that Lust is no longer around. Okay, so I'm going to quickly end this because I have to talk to you about something that I have recently seen and that it's been pressing on my mind. Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode.
See you in the next episode, everyone.